Welcome back, my dear students. So in this lecture, we are going to be learning how to create directories. Not only that, but we are going to check to see if the directory exists. And if it doesn't exist, we are going to create it and write a file and create a new file inside and write some data into it. Let's do it. Okay, let's create a new file. And guys, one of the reasons why I keep writing the data myself and I'm not, I don't create the data before and copy and paste it is just because when I was actually taking classes from instructors back in the day, and I took classes that they copy and pasted a lot, it was kind of boring and I didn't learn much. Okay, what I suggest for you to do is just to pause the video when I finish writing the code and write the data out. Okay, some of you are gonna watch everything I do and then write it. Some of you are just gonna watch and never write it. For those of you that don't write it, you're not gonna learn as much. So make sure that you write the code if you want to learn this really good. Okay, remember this is a beginner's class, but this is the fundamentals of Node, and it's very important for you to learn this to go to advanced courses. Okay, so let's get to it. File directory. Um, let's just call this creating directories .js. And don't worry too much about the naming here. I'm using this for my own purposes, and you can name it whatever you want. Okay, let's require the file system. Let's play around. And the way we create directories is with this make directory function. Okay, so make directory is going to take a couple different arguments. We can either pass in, well, the first argument is going to be the path or the directory we want to create. The mode, which has to do with permission, that's more of an advanced course, and I'm not going to show you that here right now because it's just going to take a lot of lectures to do that. And this is a beginner's course, and it's going to confuse you. But we don't need that now. And it's also the third parameter is going to be a callback function. So let's name this directory views. Okay. Now, if I just do this and I execute this file, and then directory or creating directory, enter, it says that deprecating warning calling asynchronous function without callback is deprecated. So you can't do that. Okay, it needs to have, this is a um, asynchronous function feature by default, and we have the synchronous here. You can do this with this one here. Okay, so we were able to create that, but it's not recommended to do that. It's just a warning. Okay, so don't do that. Everything that's deprecated, try not to do it. Let's just delete this, and it's very simple to create one. Come back here and we just call, and that creates a directory, as simple as that, without putting anything there. Remember that this is synchronous. This is has a blocking. Okay, so it's gonna block all the functionalities of other um, things that you have going on until it completes it. So it's not recommended unless you already finish with everything that you're doing. Let's just delete this and let's do it asynchronous. Okay, let's pass in a function, and of course we get an error here if things don't go according to plan. Now, I don't want to create a views directory unless I know it doesn't exist. So why don't we check for that before we do this? Let's just wrap this in an if statement here. And let's just use another function here called exist. And let's just pass in the views. And if this does not exist, let's just do a not exclamation point there. If views does not exist, the views folder, then I want to create it. Simple as that. And when I create it and I get that we don't have an error, okay, let's just do that first here. If we don't have an error, then I want to write to it. I want to create a file. And I want to create a file here in the views. We have to give it a path, and it's gonna be a new .html. Okay, HTML. It's been a long time since I've written anything like that. And let's just say this is a new directory in data. Another error we get in the callback here. If we have an error, so we can just use the same thing here, like this. And if we were able to save it, then we can just log it in. Directory and data saved or file. Okay, let's run this and let's see what we get. Enter, and voila. See that? Pretty simple, guys. Don't get overwhelmed. This is super simple stuff. Here's the code. Now you can pause the video and write it and try to make it yourself. I know this is super easy, but the more you write it, the better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lectures.